Hello, partners. During these past months, my researcher and writer Dennis Daly has let us see a wide variety of people who played a part in our American history, both good and bad. Well, this week, Dennis profiled someone who can rightfully be said is a forgotten hero. He was an adventurer, an inventor, and a patriot. Now, when I mention his name, I'm sure you're going to shrug your shoulders and ask, who? Well, let me tell you. His name was Lincoln Beachy. He was born 10 years after the Civil War and lived until World War I. Now, before his death, he was nicknamed the Master Birdman, and another one, the Man Who Owned the Sky. That's the one we're using this time. Those who do remember Lincoln Beachy say you can forget about Charles Lindbergh and Amelia Earhart. Lincoln Beachy was the real hero. During his lifetime, he was known around the world. Hundreds of thousands of people saw him perform at air shows, not only here in the United States, but also overseas. He's credited with inventing aerobatics. He pioneered the art of stunt flying. He set many records, yet he remains practically unknown today. Lincoln Beachy's story is one of optimism, bravery, entrepreneurship, and ultimately deadly possession. You see, Beachy got into the mechanics at an early age. Just like the Wright brothers, he operated a bicycle shop. But Beachy got into aviation business at the age of 13. Before he was out of high school, he started inventing motorcycles. By the time he was 17, he had learned to fly and was going from county fair to county fair, dazzling audiences with his death-defying stunt flying. He was also building dirigibles. He flew one of his airships around the Washington Monument and landed right on the lawn of the White House. Yes, Lincoln Beachy was a true star in the first days of aviation. At the 1911 Los Angeles Air Show, Beachy made the first ever successful recovery from a nosedive spin from an altitude of over 3,000 feet. No previous pilot ever survived a similar situation. Soon the great aircraft pioneer Glenn Curtiss asked him to join his air show. Well, things didn't go well at first. Oh, why is that, Jimmy? Well, I'm glad you asked. You always do. You see, Glenn Curtiss was flying planes that were very different from the ones that Beachy was used to flying. Within the first 2 weeks, Beachy had crashed 3. Yeah, crashed 3 times. Beachy is also remembered for a stunt he did at Niagara Falls. He took off in a drizzle, and then before a crowd of 150,000 people, he flew near the falls, finally dipping down and letting the mist at the bottom of the falls cover his plane. He later told a newspaper man he wasn't sure he was going to make it. After all, he told the reporter, I was flying in a beat-up crate of a plane. But dear partners, his love of living on the edge eventually killed him. That's right. Partners, on March the 14th, 1915, Beachy set out to impress a crowd of nearly 250,000 people at the Panama Pacific International Exposition in San Francisco. Now, the great earthquake and fire that all but destroyed San Francisco less than 10 years earlier, but San Francisco had completely rebuilt itself and was hosting this international event. Beachy knew he had to be there. Man, he couldn't miss anything like this. But anyway, while he was flying an upside-down position over San Francisco Bay, He tried to get the plane back on an even keel, but something went wrong. Both wings of his plane fell apart. He plunged 2,000 feet into the choppy waters of the bay. By the time Navy officers recovered his body, nearly 2 hours had gone by, and doctors found that he had been rescued sooner. Had he been rescued sooner, he would have lived. You see, Lincoln Beachy didn't die in the crash. He drowned while trying to stay afloat. Lincoln Beachy was a great example of the American way. He proved that anyone can rise at the top if they have the talent and the determination. Well, since his time, untold lives have been saved because he improved methods of bringing a plane out of a spin. His ideas have been used by frantic pilots to save themselves and their passengers. Hey, please remember that name, Lincoln Beachy. He was an aviation pioneer and a pilot. Okay, partners, you know the drill. Look up at those 3 boxes at the right, and the farthest over the right has that big red X in it. Click it, nothing else, and you'll return to the report page for the rest of this week's comments. Dennis, bless your heart. You're providing me with such important, special information to give our partners in these videos. I love doing them, as you all know. And all of you, be sure and write me some people that you'd like for me to tell Dennis to do his research on and come back. I love you. Go get 'em, Tigers!